it's such a toxic culture. It really is. It's so refreshing to come into the dojo. And I love when you start getting on people, telling them, stand straight, do this. Because they need to understand you're a martial artist. If you go to the academy, they're not going to tell you that. They don't care how you sit. They don't care what gi you wear. They don't care how you talk to people. And that's going to translate outside of the mat. You're not going to care how you look. You're not going to care how you talk to people. You know, come on. 2 and 2 is 4.
You know, it's very funny. Like yesterday I gave the speech about, you know, not talking back to your teacher.
I was there.
I saw both of your faces, and both of you were like just giggling. But there was one thing I noticed in both of you, that like you were in support for the young gentleman.
Oh,
like,
yes. Yeah.
You like knew it was the best thing for him. And you had that, like, and I'm going to point that out in the next mat chat. Like, there's a difference there. Like, when you go through the hard lessons, and when you like, for me, it was me trusting my teacher enough, and then considering and like working through it, and, you know, failing and bumping. And then you finally go, oh, this is what my teacher was talking about. And then you watch someone else hit that same process, and you go like, this is the best thing for this person. You guys got the look in your eye right now. Like, I saw it yesterday, and I was like, they are in so much support. And this guy doesn't even like, he can't, it's invisible to him. God bless him. He's young. He's like 16, 17, but he felt like he had to justify, like, but he like, you know, and it was just it was so loving of both of you, the look in your eye, and the also like, we've been here, like we know that.
I still remember the few I tell people this all the time. Like, I remember when I was sitting on the side of the mats, and when your seniors are training, and you'll say, all right, sit on the side, you know, white belts, take a seat, right? And you sit down, and, you know, I'd sit and I'd chit chat with somebody about what I thought I was doing, right? Oh, you got to see what I was doing to so-and-so. Like, yeah, all right, whatever I thought I was doing. Instead of tying my belt, like fixing myself, watching what's going on. So maybe I learned something, or maybe my teacher might see that I'm actually the one white belt that's taking care of my gi and ready. And says, oh, come on, get up. Come in.
Come train.
Yeah, like that type of stuff. And like, I remember one time I was sitting there, and you were like, hey, like, you come up. And like, I was like, oh, I was like, what, you want attention? Like, take your belt, like swing it around like this if you need. I was like, whoa, like, I better like really. So, and that's when it started, where I was like, okay, my phone doesn't come in to the dojo anymore. Like, when I come in to train, like, I have to like really pay attention. Like, my teacher's taking the time to watch me, so maybe he's taking an interest in me, and that means something. So I learned that lesson, like, but that took me a while. Then that's retrospection. At the time, I was like, I'll take this belt and throw it up on the ceiling.
I know. They're hard lessons, you know. I was thinking about this point too, that we need stuff, especially men, like, but we need stuff to bump into.
Yeah, man.
And a lot of us don't have the sense of maturity associated with dealing with that well. We either stick the knife in the person's back, or we flee, we run. And that's not going to get anybody any place. You know, and I'm very on purpose about it. Like, you know, I was saying to Brandon yesterday or the day before, like, I ride the line, and I don't just ride it, I ride it hard. Like, I'm happy to ride it hard, but I think there's a lot of value to that.
Some of us are sticking around for that.
Yeah.
When you get past, right? Like, when you get past that burning part, you're like, oh man, this person cares enough about me to say, hey, I'm noticing something. You want to fix that.
Or if the person is wrong, at least you have something to now like reevaluate and adjust, and all that's so important for us. You know, I have it. You know, I was thinking about like, I have a lot of respect for my teachers. And one, because I believe in them. But two, it's now much more about my own dignity. It's like, no, this is like who I want to be as a student, and I'm starting to understand that that process, that engagement, the way I relate says so much about me.
Yeah.
It's so much about my own dignity, my own personal belief, and my own way that I want to be. That I can't compromise. I don't use in a manipulative way, but I use my teachers as a way to practice that. So it's just so important, man.
Yes.
You know? So as martial artists, now you made that switch, right? And you're not like, you said it, George, I'll say it again, hobbyists. You're thinking about cultivating
Make the
the
switch.
art, cultivating yourself through the art. What becomes the important things?
For me, it's like passing down what I know. You know, I try to make it be an example whenever you correct me on something. And you said it the other day, and I snickered when you said it about, again, back talking. Like, just take the correction and move on. I pride myself in saying, "Oh, Shion, thank you." That's it. No, but I was trying, none of that. None of that. Thank you. And I actually was talking to, I forgot the young man's name, but I was telling him, like, listen, you should be lucky that you have someone telling you these things.
Yeah.
Because you have some people, you're just a business to them.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and for someone to be here to tell you these things, don't take it personal. Just
Yeah.
take what Shion said and just look at yourself. Say, okay, hey, you saw something. Let me work on that.
Yeah.
Say, look at me. I'm a black belt.
Yeah.
I'm a second-degree black belt.
Yeah.
I want him to correct me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want him to just let me do faulty stuff.
Yeah.
Brian, do this. And you see the other day, you were telling about Thai Tosh. I still have issues with that.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep working on it because you brought that to my attention.
Yeah.
And I said, you got to be grateful for things like that. You have to be grateful for people like that in your life. I've realized you're going to have people in your life that they're not going to tell you anything. They're going to be glad to see you fail. They'll just sit there and we're like, oh, look at this idiot.
Because they see another male as a threat.
Yes.
Or another person as a threat.
Right.
And they can't handle it.
Yeah.
And people get it jumbled. Young people get it jumbled. They go like, oh, he's being an asshole. No. I want you to, that's why I said yesterday about Officer and a Gentleman, like, you know, that scene where at the end where like, you know, mayonnaise and the sergeant kind of make up, you know, and he goes, gets the girl and he succeeds. Like, that's the whole point, man. You're building people up, but it's not powdering someone's bottom.
No.
Building people up can be dirty business in a way.
Yeah.
So George, what's the thing that's most important about being a martial artist to you?
Protocol.
Why
Really,
is that?
protocol. Part of my story is I moved and I left the dojo, right? And I, you know, when
you moved to New Jersey.
Yeah.
Right,
so I live in New Jersey,
far.
right? So
and you travel far to be there twice a week, 3 times a week.
You know, pretty deep, you know, but like I also like I want to be careful like that. Like I'm not doing anything special. My teacher does that. You know, you do that. Or, you know, like
that's what we do.
People may not understand that, but that's what a martial artist does, right? You go train where your teacher trains. And if you happen to move, then it's your responsibility to figure that out.
Right.
And I had to learn that lesson. So like when it happened for me, I came to you and I was like, hey, look, I'm going to New Jersey. I really think it's best for me. I don't think I can do this. And you were gracious and said, look, whatever's good for you. If you even want me to make a phone call for you, any place you want to go. And there was a place that was near me. And it's, you don't know what you don't like, I'll take it back a few steps. I'm not rambling. What made us angry and made us run and go like, hey, I want to drive this Ferrari, the S training, the bowing, the O's, I can't wear a Venom gi. Everybody else gets to wear Venom gis. Everybody else gets to wear patched up gis. Why do I have to wear Fuji gi? You know, like buy a blue gi. All of those things. Again, like you don't. If you're not in the practice long enough, then it doesn't make any sense to you, right? How do you make sense of it if you're trying to learn how to like arm lock somebody. If you think your whole job is to break somebody's arm, you're scared, you're this. So how do you, so for me, the protocol was like when I stopped trying to fight, when I stopped trying to like do things my way. And I was like, all right, my teacher wants me to do something. Let me try this.
Yeah.
Let me really like surrender to this system and see like what it's going to be like. The protocol is what did it, right? So when I left and I went to another school and I saw, okay, nobody bows. Brian, I would call Brian. No, he's laughing because we would be on the phone for hours. I'm like, I want to just like, I can't. How is it that you're a blue belt and like the teacher's teaching technique and you stop class and you ask 50 follow-up? I'm like, it was the equivalent of somebody scratching a chalkboard. But I didn't know that at the time.
Right.
And so I left.
Right.
And was like, oh man, this was so special what I had. Like I had this place where like even if someone even tried that, somebody would go, hey man, don't do that here. Like, like, that's not protocol here.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, everybody bows here. And even if you're not told, you could kind of pick it up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no. In the
Well, they bow out of respect, out of courtesy, out of gratitude,
out of all of that, right?
Yeah.
But if that's not there, right? If that's not there, then what happens is there is no context for, hey, I should be courteous to the rest of the class and not interrupt. I should have more respect for my teacher, not to use his first name, but not even to interrupt him when he's teaching.
Yeah.
Right. So I saw that. And then like I would call Brian and just be like, I can't take this anymore. Like, this is terrible for me. It's terrible for my practice. And
it's fair to say that you have more respect for yourself.
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
And but also like the protocol also served me well, right? Like, I'll give an example. Right? The protocol served me well. So I'm traveling with my wife. And we're on, I was down at the shore on vacation. And I'm like, I just want to get a little extra training in. I was still doing stuff like that. And I want to like be really clear. I don't engage in that practice anymore.
Right.
Brett said something to me one time. He's like, you know what, man? I'm really happy to say like my feet haven't touched anybody else's mat. And I took that as a dig because he knew I was out fooling around.
Yeah.
And it was a loving act is what he was doing.
Yeah,
he was like, hey man, stay here. Be careful what you're doing. You can get hurt. So at that time, I was engaging in that practice. So just to go back to where I was going. So I show up and I'm at this other academy. And I'm talking about like somebody you can like looking up, you be on BJJ Fanatics buying their DVDs, right? Like, so I'm over there and because I had already had this ingrained in me and I didn't realize what something special techniques that I picked up were like, I was like one of the few people that showed up and was like, hi, I bowed. The minute I walked in, I went to the front desk. I talked to them about who I was, what I was looking to do. I put my gi on. I immediately went to the corner, sat at the lowest ranking position, kneeled, knew enough to train with people instead of just going and trying to like be I'm going to show you like I'm on, I come from this lineage and now it's dojo storming time. Like I knew enough so when their instructor came, the person that let me in was like, look, my teacher's not here, but because of who you are and because you're a student of your lineage, we'll allow you to train here. And I was like, all right, cool. Let me not mess this up. This is important. Let me act appropriate.
Yeah.
I got asked to stay and train no-gi.
Right.
Like their professor was training for the upcoming ADCCs or some big trials. And he was like, hey, you have no-gi stuff? And I said, yes, I do, sir. He was like, why don't you change out and work in with us if you want? And I was like, cool. That happened because of the protocol, right? Like that protocol served me very well. Like just to know enough to say, hey, be respectful, bow.
So how does that transcend into your like both of these points? Like you want to give back, you want to like stay true to protocol. How does that transcend into like your life, your lifestyle? What does that mean for you? Like we talk about, or lots of people talk about, martial arts is not just happening in the dojo, but outside. So how does that happen for you? What's that about?
I'm a naturally giving person. Like, and you can, I kind of exhibit that during my training too. Like, and we joke about this. Like, I'll always start on the bottom end. I'm always putting myself behind, right? And I'll tell you how I'll correlate everything. I use that as a way of giving to whoever I'm with. I want you to feel like, hey, I'm here to assist you as much as I can. I don't want to be the hammer and you be the nail. I want you to work through things. How that kind of gravitates outside of the dojo, I'm always willing to help people. Like, I'm always helping George all the time. I mean, people could call me for whatever, and I'm there to help people. I've always been that way. They know you that way. Yeah, right? I've always been that way. I've always been a giving person, and I always give with the intent of not to receive. Yeah. Like, I'm giving because I want to do it, not because I have to do it. Right. And I tell people out on the mat, I'm helping you because I want to help you. I don't have to help you. Right. You have an instructor to help you. Right. Your training is your responsibility. But what he's instilled in us is that we're here to assist you as well. Uh-huh. He shouldn't have to tell you to be quiet when he's speaking. I'm going to tell you that. Yeah. If you notice, I've started just yell time. Sure. Like, time's up. Time. I mean, you shouldn't have to say that. Thank you. Everybody, I hear the beeper. Other people hear the beeper. Stop. Stop. Why should he have to tell you to stop? Come on. Be more responsible for your actions. Yeah.
So do you think that like being a giving person, like that, I hear you saying like it's your martial arts practice, yes, right? And then what value does that have? I mean, I think it's implied, but I'm trying to make this like this bridge to your martial arts training and your life, and then why do it? Like, why be so committed to it?
Why not? You know, why not? You know, people before me, when we were 13, they didn't have to take, I mean, they all knew I was Gay's cousin. Yeah. But a lot of them didn't, extend the olive branch. Right. A lot of them back then were like, Gay's cousin. Let's get him. Let's get him.
Darn it, Gay.
Yeah. Big shout out to Gay.
Yeah. But then you had some that they extended the olive branch. Let me show you something. Here, work on this. Yeah. And I kind of took that. That stayed with me. Yeah. And I said, when I get to that level, I'm going to do the same thing. Yeah, nice. I'm going to be the guy to help other people up. Yeah. Because I don't feel right not doing it.
I'm going to use this word again, but like I say that like grace, right? Like when we talk about grace, like being graceful, being gracious, I understand it as giving. And I think that when you're in that position, that's your most dignified self. That's your most like proper, upright, like real self. When you can come at the world from that perspective, you're sitting not above people, but you're sitting above in your own consciousness.
Yes.
And I think that is one of the quintessential points about martial arts training, is to be graceful, is to be giving, is to be generous, is to be confident. Because you can't fake those things.
No, right.
Yeah. You can try for a little while, but it'll collapse on you. So George, what do you think is like you said the protocol, like how does, outside of the martial arts, how does like that play out, and what's that doing in your life?
I think now with the amount of training I have, the years in training I have, like it's changed, right? And like I think about this and I'm like, how does jiu-jitsu, because you say like leave your ego there's all these sayings that people get, like, take it off the mats, make it a lifestyle. It's like, man, how do you translate that to somebody if you want to be giving? Right? Like if someone says like you're gonna get this question. Like for me, it's like, for instance, if I was going into a scary situation, the protocol is, like you turn around, you face away, you tie, you settle yourself, you face your partner, you bow in. And when I bow in, like that's a time for me to like reset and say, okay, that's it. I'm in the problem. I got to fix this problem no matter how scary it is. Yeah, man, damn, I really wish Shihan would have said, move 2 spaces to the right and now 1 space to the right, because I really do not want to grapple with this person. Off the mats, it's like, hey, I have this meeting coming up.
Yep.
And like, it's a scary meeting. And like, I don't know what to do about this meeting. It's like, okay, I can go into that meeting the same way I go into a round, panicking and breathing out of my mouth. Like you say, making all weird noises, or I can breathe through my nose, settle myself, and like mentally bow in and say, okay, I have a strategy for this problem that's in front of me. Like, you know,
Beautiful.
Brian's a problem for me to fix. Like when I'm grappling with him, he's big, he's strong, he's smart, he's methodical. All right. So how I can like panic about that, or I can say, okay, I know that's coming up next round. I'm going to bow in and settle myself in. Same way if I had a meeting with Brian and, I was going to try to figure that problem out. Like that protocol gives me an entry point to accessing these things. Like how do I take it from the mat?
Beautiful.
I think for me, it's just like, like I was on the way here. I was running a little bit behind. And I caught myself. I said, breathe through your nose. And like slow is smooth and smooth is fast.
Right.
So if we just slow it down, you're going to make it in plenty of time.
That's right.
And like that I get on the mats, right? Like when you or somebody's like crowding me and I'm like, ooh, my end, this is it. Like I feel like the world's caving in on me. I got to remind myself to go, principle-based solution. Let's work our way out of this problem. Like, like that's what I would use at work, right? Like and stuff like that.
Very good.
Yeah.
So last question. You have this 14, 13-year experience. You have your beginning, your middle, and this isn't your end, but you're now in a place where you're able to kind of reflect back and go, okay, I did some things here and I made some adjustments and this is my practice, this is my lifestyle. What's one thing that you could give someone that's just coming into jiu-jitsu or is wrestling with some things or just coming into martial arts or is, maybe struggling with some things? What's one piece of wisdom that you could give someone based on your practice, your position now? As the men you are, as the black belts you are, all of the things considered, if you could, what's one piece of wisdom you could give someone to keep them moving forward in their
practice?
Or in their path, in their journey?
Be accountable. Be accountable for your actions. And in this case, your practice. Show up with intent. That will resonate off the mat automatically once you apply yourself. But hold yourself accountable. I tell guys that all the time. Like, Shihan's not here he's here to teach you, but you're here to better yourself. At the end of the day, you have to pluck the things that he tells you and see how that realize how it approaches your kind, your thoughts, your being. And just all in all, like I said, be accountable for your actions, for your ability to learn. And that's it. I don't want to go on and preach to people about other stuff, but just be accountable for your actions.
Nice.
And everything else will fall into place.
Nice. I think that is, accountability is everything. I say to Brandon and Yvette and a lot of the younger people, like, that's where your power is.
Yes.
When you take full accountability, that's where you own your own power. Everything else diminishes your power.
Yes.
Really smart, really beautiful. George, can you sum it up?
Yeah, I think
for somebody.
I think like for me, it's something I'm working on now. Right? It's like slowing it down. Like it's something you tell white belts all the time and blue belts and hey, take it easy, like don't be so stiff, don't relax, like. And I think that's a way to like, how can you absorb? There's so much going on the mats. It's the reason why I love jiu-jitsu. I'm just a natural problem. Yeah, we talk about this.
You do.
I really like to take things apart and tinker with things. My wife says you're a serial hobbyist. It's like, so it's what I love about jiu-jitsu, right? And I didn't realize that like, if I just slow down and stop trying to muscle everybody and be strong and all that male stuff, right? Slow down, relax. You'll take in all this information and you'll take in all this technique and you'll start to figure things out and move with a purpose. Like try to move with a purpose. Like I've been learning recently in our interactions, like where you're saying like, hey, George, cover the knee, talking about covering the knee. It's like, I got to move with a purpose, it's like, try to move with a purpose. Try to understand why you're doing something. Like, Like you're doing swims and you're doing uchikomi fit-ins and you don't know why you're doing them, ask somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like ask somebody, like, like
so be a little less prideful, like
like I think that's being the student. We've talked about this. Like one of the big things I learned in jiu-jitsu was like taking it back to the correction, right? Saying, hey, thank you. If I'm a good student, the teacher will give.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
Like the student shows up, the teacher appears, right? So like off the mats, how does that translate? Like I engage in other practices. Those practices are artistic practices. Some of those involve, I'm involved in other practices. And in those other practices, when I engage with people, I've noticed they give me information because I'm just the opposite of what they, like, that's the martial art attitude. Like I show up and go, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love to hear more about not, oh yeah, I know. I did a YouTube, I'm a
deep dive.
Like you can't be a deep dive and be a black belt.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
There's not a deep enough dive.
I've seen that firsthand with him. Yeah. Literally. We were at the range.
Yeah.
And he started to sweep up the shells. And the guy was like, no, you don't have to. He's like, listen.
It's part of my practice.
It's part of my practice.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to sweep up the shells. I just looked at him. I was like,
I did that today with Max.
Right.
I bought a brush and I gave him extra. And he's like, it's not that much. And I was like, nope.
It's part of my practice.
And he was like, what are you, rich? And I was like, no, man.
You won't understand.
This is just my way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
This is who I am.
Yeah.
You're my teacher.
There's a reason why I vacuum. Like this, like I'm not vacuuming because I'm a teacher's pet. I'm vacuuming because I saw my seniors fight over the vacuum on 13th Avenue.
Yeah.
And I knew enough to say, oh, that means something.
It's your
here.
dignity,
like those
bro.
guys are like, those guys are doing something different.
That's right.
I want to be like them.
Yeah. Beautiful, man. Thank you for your openness. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for expressing your wisdom and giving it away. You're so generous and kind and loving and just, man, I'm proud to be around.
Oh,
thank you. Thank you,
Sean. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for listening to the Gentle Art Podcast. Please share, rate, and review. And if you have any questions or you'd like to reach out, please contact us at the GentleArtPodcast@gmail.com or contact us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter or thegentleartpodcast.com.